Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
The Steve Austin Show is brought to you in part by Great Clips. At Great Clips, they want you to love your haircut. That's why they created Clip Notes. Notes that tell them what you like, so you get your same great haircut every time, anywhere. With Clip Notes, no matter which stylist cuts your hair, you'll get the haircut you want. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting here in my office at 316 Gimmick Street. I am laying this open and closed down, doing my reads. Kristen's in there cooking up my food. I'm going to pack all my stuff up, throw it in my car, and head out to the Broken Skull Challenge compound this Sunday evening to get ready for the last 2 days of filming the baddest, toughest television show on planet Earth, Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge. That's right. We only have 2 more days left to film. This season has flown by. I'm real happy with what we got this year. I think it's going to be kick-ass. This show is going to air on CMT on November 13th. So put that on your calendar, on your iPhone, your smartphone, your iOS, your Android, your Galaxy, whatever you got. Put it on there. That's when the show kicks off, November 13th on CMT. It's going to be pretty damn cool. Hey, I got a real special guest today, and we have a lengthy conversation. So I'm not going to sit here and flap my gums all day long. My guest today is the lead guitarist for Alice Cooper. Yes, the Alice Cooper, the legendary rocker from, well, Alice's career, Coop, as Nita Strauss calls him. His career has been 5 decades long. And I remember Alice Cooper from back when I was a kid because I was a huge fan from his stuff when it first came out. So anyway, and followed Alice Cooper through the Kane Roberts years, all of the stuff that he's ever done. Well, now, my guest today, Nita Strauss, super shredder on the guitar, is his lead guitarist and has been now for a year or 2. She's an amazing young lady. She has an amazing story. She's an awesome guitarist. She's a class act. She really has her act together, and she is my guest today. Towards the end of the conversation, I'll bring in her boyfriend, Josh, and we'll talk a little bit about his Beverly Kills T-shirt line and all the support he's been getting from a lot of WWE superstars. Cesaro, RVD, Natalya, and Sasha Banks actually wore one of his shirts on the Holy Foley show. So big shout out to Sasha Banks and the rest of the people I just mentioned for helping Josh out and support his line. He forgot to mention those names in our conversation and felt so bad he had to send me an email because those superstars have been so supportive of his line. But anyway, also breaking here on the podcast today, Nita Strauss, the shredder for Alice Cooper's band. She has decided to form another band along with the Alice Cooper endeavors, form another band on her own with some other women that she knows, and she supplied a track. I'm going to play you a 40-second clip of that track. It's called Pandemonium. This is Nita's first instrumental guitar track. Josh, her boyfriend, played drums on the track, and this track is being released on January 20th on the She Rocks compilation album for guitar player Steve Vai's label Favored Nations. I got a chance to listen to the track several times. If you love badass guitar playing and the heavy-duty drums, you will dig this. Also talking here on the podcast today, she's signed a deal with Marshall Amplifiers. She's got all kinds of stuff going on. But my special guest is Nita Strauss. I'm going to move on and take care of business so I can get her on the air. I can get packed up and go do my things. Nita Strauss is my guest. And folks, before we get to Nita, let me take a minute to say thank you to the great sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. And thanks to all of my listeners for supporting the sponsors. That's how I'm able to do this show twice a week for free. And that includes DraftKings, the destination for 1 week fantasy football. And here's the thing about DraftKings. You don't have to come in first to win money. The player who came in 800th in DraftKings Week 1 contest took home $100. Here's the other good thing about playing fantasy football at DraftKings. You ain't stuck with the same lineup week after week. Let's say you were drafting your season-long team with your league, and you were drinking Broken Skull IPA at the time, and when it came time to draft a defense, you were a few bottles in, and you took the New Orleans Saints. Bad move. And now your season-long team is already in trouble. Well, that's not a problem at DraftKings. You just pick a new defense for next week. You can pick a whole new lineup every week at DraftKings. And this is a good weekend to do it because DraftKings is hosting another huge fantasy contest with over $1 million in total prizes up for grabs. So get to DraftKings.com now and choose your players for this weekend's contest. And if you use my promo code Steve, you can play for free with your first deposit. That promo code Steve to play for free for your share of over $1 million in total prizes this weekend. Only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions may apply. See website for details.
Hey, yo, Conan.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what does keeping it 100 mean?
Giving the people what they want to hear.
What do you mean?
Unfiltered.
What do you mean?
Not afraid of the repercussions.
What do you mean?
What nobody else will say.
What do you mean?
Pro wrestling.
What do you mean?
Politics.
What do you mean?
Pop culture.
What do you mean?
Great interviews.
What do you mean?
That we're keeping it 100.
Oh, I think I understand.
Listen now at PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe at iTunes. Keeping it 100 with Conan.
All right, I'm rolling us down here from 316 Gimmick Street. Hurricane Nita just rolled in.
Oh, yeah.
Nita Strauss, lead guitarist for Alice Cooper. She's Hurricane Nita on Twitter and Instagram. Nita, welcome to the 316 Gimmick Street compound.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, as you came in, you and Josh met my wife. We're under construction here, or about to be under construction. You've seen our floor problems. We're trying to remodel. I didn't know there were so many headaches and hassles to remodeling in my life. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it seems like anytime you have a house, you have problems, no matter what it is, no matter what you're dealing with.
And that's the thing. I'm not a handyman, so I'm kind of at a loss for things to do. But
our house is a mess, and we're not even remodeling.
Well, see that's my style. But my wife over there, who's kind of like the OCD person, I'm cool. I always like to get it organized, but I can kind of let it go for a little bit. But she always keeps everything organized, so she's probably, well, let me put it this way. When I met her, I was carrying my bills around in a hefty garbage sack. So that's how I used to live.
When I met Josh, actually, I was just carrying my cards and my bills just in the pocket, and he got me my first wallet. My first actual wallet. So now I have a wallet.
How old were you? You're 20, 29 now?
27. Or 20, I guess, yeah, 27.
Are you coming up in my footsteps? Mm-hmm. Hey, talk to me a little bit before we get started about talking about everything music, touring with Alice Cooper, all your guitar learnings. You came into my office. Did you not see the Stevie Ray Vaughan Fender Stratocaster over there?
I did. Actually, that was the first thing I noticed was the guitar, was the Strat. And it's funny because I'm a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan myself. And, Josh and I were talking before we got here. And I said, I do have a good Stevie Ray Vaughan story. Actually, I was in high school. Well, I don't know if it's called my Stevie Ray Vaughan story. But I was in high school and I was just getting into playing guitar, just getting into, discovering different kinds of music. I'm a heavy metal fan, but I was getting into different guitar players, different styles. And I got into Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I loved this, his attack and his approach to the instrument. And we had to write a paper in school about something that inspired us. So I wrote this paper about the Texas Flood Stevie Ray Vaughan album. And my teacher calls me up to the front and he goes, "So you like that album, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I like it a lot." He goes, You own it?" I said, "Yeah, actually, I have it here in my backpack." He goes, "Open it up." This teacher of mine at my school had written the liner notes in the album. He said, "That's my name right there, Michael Ventura." I said, "What?" So I feel like I, in some way, was connected now with this album.
Awesome. Hey, I used to always do a lot of research about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Are you familiar with Lonnie Mack?
No.
I figured you wouldn't be because you're way younger than I am. As big of an influence as like Albert King, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, all those guys had on Stevie Ray. One time, he was living in Dallas with his brother Jimmy, and Jimmy got mad at Stevie for borrowing all his records. So finally, he just took them all back. So Stevie got some money, went down to the record store. He told the guy at the record store, he said, "Give me the baddest guitar album you got." Mm-hmm. And the guy handed him Lonnie Mack, Wham! Okay. So get on YouTube and check out Lonnie Mack and check out a song called Stop.
Okay.
And some other stuff.
I will.
Because you are kind of a shredder type.
Yeah.
But you come from a classical music type background because, man, on your father's side, one of your ancestors was
Johann Strauss, the composer. Strauss. Yeah.
My wife was reading about that today, And she had heard of the guy.
Right.
So, I mean, that was back in about 1825 to whenever he passed.
Yeah. It's funny, he's such a well-known composer, but not really by name. You hear dun 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 dun. That's the song, but you don't know who does that song. You hear it in all the movies and all the commercials and stuff. And I guess like the lesser known of the big guys.
So
everyone always says Strauss like the jeans, and it's not really
Levi
like
Strauss.
the jeans.
Yeah, he was like the other guy.
Yeah.
Hey, growing up, it seemed like there was always classical music going on in your household.
Yeah, definitely.
Was your mother or father into that kind of music?
No,
inspired
my
you to begin with.
My dad was in a rock band. My dad was a bass player in a rock band. My mom was a dancer. My mom was a dancer and a dance teacher, so that's how they met. My mom's a ballet dancer, and now she teaches tango and kind of cool dance. My dad's still playing music, doing jams and stuff like that. But my dad actually was the one that taught me how to play guitar. My dad was the one that taught me my first chords and stuff. But we always did have classical music in the house. We always, and I think that kind of gave me a really early sense of music and melody and how things fit together. So I'm really grateful for that. Always have been.
Do you think then maybe you were born or destined to be a musician?
I think I have to be. I don't really know what else I'd be doing. I'd be
What
pretty
else
lost.
would you be doing? What did you do prior to? I mean, because you almost basically hit the road at 15. I mean, you were touring with all about at 17.
I
your
was
first national tour.
15, I think.
15?
I was doing it. Yeah, I was. I started. I was on I was an alternate on the Junior Olympic gymnastics team.
You were?
On the rhythmic gymnastics team. When I was 13. So I was competing, doing all this stuff. I started, doing ballet and gymnastics when I could walk. And I made my way all the way up to, competing in, the U.S. and Canada. And I got up to number 11 in the nation. Top 10 or the Junior Olympic team. I was number 11. So I was right there. And then I started playing guitar. And I never, ever went back. I didn't go back one time. I didn't even say goodbye to my coach. I just started, all I wanted to do was focus on the instrument. So
Well, that's going to bring us back because you kind of went off the tracks there for a little bit, and now you got back into a fitness lifestyle.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
now I know that you have a fitness beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Coming from my mom being a dance teacher and, having a super active childhood and also having that competitive edge as a kid, I think it's good for kids to have some competition, to be able to win first place, second place, and, no participation trophies. Really, if you don't go and stand up on the podium, you don't win anything.
Exactly.
And that's not bad,
Music is in your genes. Is dancing in your genes? Does your mother teach you all the dances?
No.
No?
Josh is laughing because he knows how bad I dance.
Josh isn't Nita's boyfriend. He's sitting right beside us.
Yeah, he's I wouldn't call that a genetic gift. It's funny because I have a little sister who is an amazing, is a Pilates teacher, and she's an amazing dancer. So I like to joke that my parents each got one. My dad got a musician, my mom got a good little dancer.
So then, what was it? Was it the Megadeth song Rust?
Trust.
I was listening to that today. I had it off by 1 T. I told Nita before I started talking with her, I said, hey, I've been standing on a mountain in a desert yelling at people for 3 weeks, so I'm almost brain dead. You got to carry me through this. So you heard Megadeth Trust, and that forever changed your musical scope? It
did, because like I said, I was listening to classical music. I always had, this kind of really melodic sensibility. And, when you listen to classical music, there's some heavy stuff out there. But it was when I heard that song and when I heard the way that heavy metal drums and guitars can interact, if you hear this song, it's heavy. It starts out heavy. There's this big tom beat and it just hit something. It struck that note in me. It's like, no one ever told me that music sounded like this, that there was something out there. So from that moment on, it was full speed ahead. Just, dove into it, started buying magazines, going to record stores, looking at what CD covers looked cool, and just, devouring whatever I could and getting into playing guitar.
But what was one of the first songs you started playing? Was it the traditional dun, 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 Smoke on the Water? I mean, because everybody learn that song, and with all respect to that song, I mean, it's kind of basic.
It's pretty basic. You know what I started with? The Beatles songbook, the Beatles Complete. I still remember my dad's going to listen to this, and he's going to totally remember what I'm talking about. We had the big black Beatles songbook that a lot of musicians have, this big same one. It's called the Beatles Complete. So as soon as I learned those first chords, and it's funny, thinking back to being a young guitar player, the stuff that should be so easy, it's so hard at the beginning, moving from note to note and mastering the positions on the fretboard and stuff like this. And thinking back to just like trying to muddle my way through these basic songs, and now, you know, I'd like to go back and revisit that actually. Now that I can play the thing.
But it's funny that you bring up the Beatles, because the guy that you play lead guitar for, Alice Cooper, is a huge Beatles fan.
Oh yeah.
And they were very inspirational, or a big influence on his career.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times he'll look at new bands or comment on some of the things that he's seen, whether it's now or even going back, and he'll say, hey, you know, what are they doing wrong? Well, they didn't listen to their Beatles.
Yeah, he tells me that.
But you agree. I mean, same background.
Absolutely. It's funny, you know, playing with somebody like Coop, who has this really, you know, really strong classic rock, you know, influence and background, because I don't have a lot of the same frame of reference as him. So I'm lucky to have, you know, Ryan Roxy and Tommy Henriksen playing in the band with me. Those guys know everything there is to know about, you know, The Who and The Doors and Zeppelin. So if Coop goes, hey, let's do, you know, we do Pinball Wizard by The Who in our set. I had never heard that song before. I never heard it one time. So we were running Baba O'Reilly was what we were supposed to do. So I had learned it. You know, we were running it at sound check, you know, getting ready to do this last tour. He goes, let's do Pinball Wizard instead. I said, can you guys give me 10 minutes? Like, I got to go listen, put it on the headphones and listen to it. But it's cool. You know, it's giving me a good education, and good, you know, sometimes the best way to learn is just to jump in the pool.
Hey, you said you're going to put on some headphones and learn it in 10 minutes. Can you do that? Do you have that kind of ear, and all of a sudden you can pick it up that quick?
It's funny, you know, I don't read music. I never really took guitar lessons. I took my first, you know, I love to tell this story. I took my first guitar lessons when I joined the Alice Cooper band, because they said, Alice needs a rock guitar player. He doesn't need a shredder. So I said, I better take some lessons. I better get some chops. I called around and got a great rock guitar teacher, a great all-around guitar teacher, I should say. I said, dude, I need some licks, like, yesterday. Like, can you just, you know, he sat me down and kind of showed me some really basic rock licks. But besides that, I just taught myself. I just learned what I wanted to learn. And that was really it. You know, it's a lot to be said for just going out there and finding your niche as a guitar player, finding your niche in whatever it is that you want to do, and just doing it.
Yeah, but explain to me what if you can shred. I mean, it's just licks, like, you know, traditional badass licks that you'd hear in any song. That's what you needed to learn. Oh
yeah, kind of. You know, like, I can play I could. When I got into the Alice Cooper band, I was doing the kind of crazy over the top stuff, because I had this sort of like bigger, stronger, faster mentality.
Was that the Steve Vai thing?
Yeah, the Vai stuff and you know, I just
badass do it.
Oh man, it's like, I love that stuff. You know, and I never saw girls doing that stuff. You know, I never, like, when I was growing up, I didn't know of any girl guitar players that could play like that, and now I do. You know, now there's, you know, and I'm working on a cool project with, you know, some other female guitar players like that we could talk about, but. You know, when I was at that age, I didn't even know of anybody. So I thought, I'm going to do it first. I'm going to be the one to do it. And I just, you know, I started touring so young, and I always just want to be faster and louder and jump off. You know, if a guy jumped off an amp, I want to jump off the top of the bigger amp. You know, and if one person did something, I had to do it louder or faster or with one hand or, you know, whatever it was. So I developed this kind of like over the top, way too show-offy style of playing. Then you get into a band like Alice Cooper, and that's not what it needs. It needs that more restrained AC/DC, Led Zeppelin kind of rock feel. So that's what I had to do, is basically go take some lessons and learn how to rein it in a little bit.
Okay, so then if your dad kind of started teaching you at about 13?
Mm-hmm, 13.
Okay, so then at that point in time, what were you listening to? I know you had some classical music going on in the house. Your dad was rocking on the bass.
Oh, yeah,
what
big
about
time.
You personally?
I was just getting into anything I could get my hands on, Metallica, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, you know, basically just anything I could find. I remember the Megadeth song, I found it on, there was a pizza promotion. They were running a promotion, I think it was Domino's Pizza, where if you buy X amount of pizzas, you get to go on the internet and download 5 songs, pick 5 songs and they mail you a CD. So I just picked 5 songs and, you know, bands I never heard of, and I thought, Megadeth. That's a cool name, like Megadeth. Cool, awesome. I didn't even know who they were. And I just picked it out, and Trust was the song. So thanks to pizza, here we are sitting here today.
Hey, I guess somebody once told you, hey, listen to a little bit of every kind of music so you don't get boxed in, and you're open to new ideas. I've boxed myself in. I'm not open to new ideas. I mean, I'm kind of still stuck in, you know, like 80s, 90s. I mean, of course, the hair stuff was big for me.
Oh, yeah.
And all the badass, like Zakk Wylde, guys like that, Stevie Ray. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of still stuck there. So to branch out, to start off, who were some of your first influences that just as a guitarist, not bands, just their guitar work?
Just guitar players, definitely Vai. Steve Vai was the one, watching the movie Crossroads was huge influence on me. And it's funny because you see that movie and it's all about a young guitar player finding his way in the world, and you would think that young guitar player would be the one that inspires other guitar players, but it's so not. It's the bad guy at the end of the movie that everybody's inspired by. The guy that he has to battle to get, to fight for his friend's soul at the end of the movie. I just spoiled it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but the bad guy is the one that gets us all excited. So it was definitely Vai in that movie, and then from there I got into Marty Friedman and Jason Becker, and Satriani and Paul Gilbert. Really, I was always into the virtuoso players, because I was into the, I had this whole, like I said, bigger, stronger, faster, louder. Those guys are doing it. I want to do it faster than them, which I still can't do. But
no, but you mentioned some badass guitarists there, but you brought up your Stevie Ray story, and I got the guitar hanging over there. Man, Stevie played heavy gauge strings, and he played them high, and he just bent the hell out of them.
Oh yeah, and I've played a Strat setup like Stevie's before. I can't play it to save my life. It's funny. It feels like, for me, because I play kind of light strings, and I like speed. In my way of thinking, you should never be battling your instrument. Your instrument should be an extension of yourself. Make it as easy as possible. People say to me, wow, your guitars are really easy to play. I think they should be easy to play. Why would you make the neck thicker or the strings heavier? And it's just personal preference, I guess, what it comes down to. But for me, my stuff is it's built for speed. And when you play something like Stevie's, you go, it's hard to play.
Yeah, but it was funny because when you listen to the one tribute album that Bonnie Raitt and so many other outstanding musicians played on, Robert Cray, all the guys, man, when you try to play Stevie Ray, it's hard to do him justice just because no one could play like that, because he just played so heavy strings and just bent the hell out of him so much.
Yeah, and he played from the heart. He played from the heart and from the bottom of the bottle.
Golly, when you say from the heart, y'all turned me on, and talking to Josh and getting ready to talk to you, Jason Becker.
Absolutely.
I had never heard of the guy.
Wow.
So, and he played in a band with Marty Friedman of Megadeth. So bring it, you tell the story, because this guy was unbelievable at 15. All the videos that Josh sent me, Jesus Christ, what a prodigy.
No one will ever be Jason. And that's the truth.
That was insanely
That's the bottom
talented.
line.
No, but tell about him, because at 15 he was just this guy.
Yeah, Jason's just a prodigy. If you watch this movie, Jason Becker's Not Dead Yet, which I really encourage everybody out there to check out. It's a life-changing movie. You see somebody that spent their whole life, their whole developmental life, perfecting the instrument. I love the part in the movie where they talk about how he would take a small guitar neck in the car, and when he was stopped at a red light, he would be practicing. That's dedication.
Yeah.
I think I practice a lot, and I don't practice in the car when I'm driving. So, you take someone like Jason, who was such a talent at 15, and then he made 2 albums with Cacophony with Marty Friedman, and then did his amazing solo album, Perpetual Burn, and then finally got the big gig, David Lee Roth, lead guitar player, and was diagnosed with ALS.
Which is Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's disease, yeah. And it's really, the most heartbreaking story to see. It seems like it would be, I should say, the most heartbreaking story to see somebody with that chance who's worked their whole life and have it taken away. But then to see the way Jason mentally overcomes this struggle, and the way that he's still, they gave him 5 years to live, I think. It must be 20 years this year now, maybe longer. That he's been living with ALS and still composing music.
And it started off, he just kind of a limp in his leg. And
he had a pain in his leg, I think.
His mother said, hey, let's get that checked out.
Yeah, he said, no, I'm going to get ready to go on tour. It'll be fine. And then it got worse. And then
they were able to diagnose it. And they said, hey, man, you got 3 to 5 years to live. And his question was, well, can I tour?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I still go on tour?
And then, first it was the crutches, then it was the wheelchair, and then he couldn't hold the guitar. And now, he's in that wheelchair, but like you said, they invented.
He communicates with his eyes, so he'll look from left to right, up to down. And I had the amazing experience to get to go to his house and play some of his guitars.
I saw that.
And I played one of his part of one of his songs for him, which was just thank you. So scary.
But he said something. He said something about maybe you didn't do this or whatever.
He said, I forgot how I went. Yeah. How it went anyway, which was kind of him, because I know he knows how it goes. But it's so cool to be there and to see, because sitting there with Jason, Josh and I were sitting in his living room, hanging out with him and his dog, and he said, looking left and right with his eyes, do you guys want a beer? Or anything. I was like, yeah. Like, he's sitting there having a beer, chatting with a friend. And it really was like, it doesn't feel like you're talking to somebody that isn't well. It feels like you're just hanging out with a good friend talking about playing guitar, and it was really, really amazing.
I always give people something to look at the end of my podcast, but right now I'll go and drop it on you. Just get on YouTube and type in Jason Becker. And what is the name of the movie, Nita, again? Because I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Oh, you got to watch it. Jason Becker's Not Dead Yet.
That's absolutely
really. And I challenge anybody, present company included, to watch this movie and not have a tear in your eye, because it is really, really a hard-hitting movie, and just makes you grateful. Like you see, Jason, you see these people on YouTube. I just posted a video on my Facebook the other day of a guy playing guitar whose hands are, backwards and stuff. And the people with these incredible will to make art, incredible will to create and make music, through all these disabilities. It makes me feel lucky that I can just practice whenever I want to practice, and it's easy.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, it makes you think the glass is half full.
Absolutely, it does.
It ain't half empty.
Absolutely.
Hey, before we go back to your high school days, one more thing about shredding. I was talking to Zach Wild one time. It was Oz Fest. I was living in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And me and Zach used to hang around when he was passing through. And he said, hey, Steve, come on up to the hotel. They were on the Riverwalk. And I said, all right, man, I'll be there in a little bit. I'll get my pickup truck. I said, what are y'all doing? He goes, I'm just walking around the hotel room playing my fiddle. That's what he called his guitar. Mm-hmm. And I thought, when I got there, he was going to be playing a fiddle.
Yeah.
And of course, he was just walking around shredding.
Right.
And then one time I asked him, I said, and I want to ask you this, because you said your rig is built for speed. I said to him, Zach, I said, man, when you're up there playing all that stuff, because your fingers are moving so fast, I said, what are you thinking? He goes, nothing. He goes, Steve, if you're thinking, you're stinking.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Same answer.
Yeah.
Same answer. You have to, like what I always say in my guitar clinics, I give these master classes. What I always say is, your brain is not helpful when you're playing guitar. You have to switch it off, let your fingers do what they do best. Let your heart, play from the heart like Stevie, do it. But you have to get to the point where you've practiced enough to be able to do that. Okay. And that part just comes with time. You can't just get up there, you play guitar for a couple weeks and just think you can do it. You have to get to that mental place where you are able to just switch off your brain and just let your fingers do what they know how to do best.
All right, everybody, I'm talking to Nita Strauss. I'm going to take a pause for the calls right now for the sponsors to keep the show on the air for free. Right after you hear an exclusive 40-second clip of Nita's new instrumental, Pandemonium. If that wasn't badass, I don't know what is. That's Pandemonium from Nita Strauss, her instrumental on guitar with Josh, her boyfriend, playing guitars. That's bad stuff. Available January 20th on Steve Vai's label, Favored Nations. All right, got to give big ups to my close personal friend and longtime sponsor, Diamond Dallas Page and DDP Yoga. DDP Yoga has changed countless lives, including some of your favorite pro wrestlers like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Mick Foley, AJ Styles, and Chris Jericho, and they all swear by DDP Yoga. And now DDP has taken his life-changing program to a whole nother level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android devices. So now you ain't got no more excuses about why you can't start DDP Yoga. The app means you can do it anytime, anywhere. And the cool thing about the app is that you can track more than just DDP Yoga workouts. By connecting to a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, you can track your calories and heart rate in real time, no matter where you are or what you're doing. All the fitness tracking features like pain tracking, measurements, progress photos, and much more are completely free in the app. And DDP Yoga Now subscribers can do the original workouts, the new 2.0 workouts, and live workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center. And to make it easier than he's already made it for a limited time, you can get the DDP Yoga DVDs for 20% off, plus 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin to take advantage of this great deal. Commit now. Change your life now. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to get started. Hey, I want to go back to your high school days because just from talking to your athletic background, I'm just thinking, out of all the research that I did, hey, you hit the streets at 15 or hit the band stages or the tours at 15 or 17 or whatever it was. But so I was thinking, okay, I know you didn't go to music school, you didn't go to college. So I'm just thinking, man, she must not have graduated from high school.
Nope. I got the GED.
You got the GED?
I got the GED.
So you were saying the high school you went to earlier, but you just didn't graduate.
Yeah, I went to...
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I was in high school, and then the band I was in did this tour, and I thought, in your mind at that age, you think that that's going to be the thing. Oh, I'm going to break out. I'm going to do it. So I told my parents, if I get my GED, can I just pursue music full time? And they said, well, sure, if you get the GED. So I went that very weekend. Like, I didn't even study for the thing. 'Cause I figured it would be easy, and it was easy. There's a secret. They don't make that test hard. This should be a lot harder. I didn't even study for it.
Yeah, other kids are going to high school for 4 years. You just walked in and passed it.
Yeah, I didn't even go to my own high school. I just found out when the next one was. It was at a different high school than the one I even went to, and I just cruised down there and passed it. It took me 3 times to pass the car driving test. It took me 1 time to pass the GED, and I never went back. I never even thought about college and doing all that stuff. I feel lucky that I figured out what I was supposed to do pretty early on, and just did that. If you know what you're supposed to do, why do all this Plan B stuff? You know what you're supposed to do that, focus on that, and be good at that.
And I always tell people, man, if you can get as much education as you can, arm yourself to the teeth. I mean, because it's always going to help you. Or if you can get a degree to open doors. I dropped out of college. It worked out okay for me, too.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, with whatever you do, pursue it with passion and a drive and a gusto and a vision. So it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you try to do the best that you can with what you got. Definitely. I want to go back and talk to you about your early days on a guitar, because it seems to me you just picked it up like it was nobody's business, and maybe it's in your genes or you practice a lot. Try to explain to me why you got so good so fast.
I mean, I wasn't any good. I just never cared. I never cared that I wasn't any good. I just wanted to play. I kind of still feel the same way. Like, I have so far to go. I have so much more I want to do. So many things I want to learn. So many, I'd love to learn some jazz and some, different styles. Maybe learn how to play an acoustic guitar finally, since I don't even own one. Like, I'd love to do so much with the guitar, but I don't care that I'm not there yet. I just want to play. And that's how I was literally from like the first time that I started playing. Like, I didn't care that I wasn't any good. I didn't care that I had a long way to go. I just played the best that I could every single day, as often as I could, as consistently as I could. And over time, it got better and better and better and better. And when I was a kid, you couldn't take the guitar out of my hands. Like, I was the kid, put the guitar away at the dinner table. Okay, fine. You put the guitar away, it's time to go to bed. And then you turn off the lights, and I'm, in the dark playing guitar under the covers. Like, you couldn't get it out of my hands because I had that drive. I knew how I wanted to sound. And if it didn't sound like that yet, I was going to get there.
So at that stage of trying to play the guitar or learning to play the guitar, what are you playing? Are you playing scales? Are you playing other songs? What do you do just to try to bring your skills up?
Well, I had some VHS tapes. I had Yngwie Malmsteen play loud. I had Marty Friedman. I had John Petrucci, Rock Discipline. Like, I had a couple of things. So I would just plink my way through these. It was so far advanced, so much farther along than I should have been doing at that time. But I kind of attribute that to where I got that skill from, because I just jumped right into directly into what I wanted to do. I didn't learn, Smoke on the Water first. I didn't learn, didn't go in the normal steps of first you learn this, then you learn that, then you learn these scales in this order. I just go, oh, Malmsteen does that? I'll do that. I wasn't anywhere near good enough to do that. I should probably be going through those videos now, and learning those techniques now. But I did it right at the beginning, and I think that's what made me into the guitar player I turned into.
So then in 2009, you joined Blood Runs Black?
As Blood Runs Black, yeah.
Thank you. How did this happen? Because they're an LA-based deathcore band.
Yeah.
Explain deathcore to me, because, man, I love metal, heavy metal, hard rock. whatever you want to call it, I'm into that. But
Right.
deathcore,
It's all the same.
I love Cannibal Corpse, but what is deathcore? What does it mean?
It's all kind of the same thing. You know, I think there's so many subgenres. Everybody wants to categorize everything these days. This is postmodern, so it's fusion. You know, deathcore is just a different name for heavy metal. It's breakdowns and this kind of stuff.
A little faster.
Just a little faster. You know, a little more broken up into chunks here and there, the breakdowns and stuff. But as Blood Runs Black was my first band I was ever in that wasn't my band. It was the first touring gig that I got. You know, up until that point, I had always just done my own thing. I just wrote my own music, played with my own, my own stuff, toured with my own stuff. And at that point,
And what kind of gigs were you hitting at that time?
anything we could get.
Okay.
You know, anything, like literally I would put bands together. We'd play anything from state fairs to, tours like Vans Warped Tour to little clubs to coffee shops to bars.
So what were y'all calling yourselves back in the day before you got with As Blood Runs Black?
Oh, I had so many bands, like band after band after band, starting out different stuff. Which it's important, I think, as a musician to still do that, to have that creative outlet. But at a certain point, I started going, okay, I need to make some money. I don't really know how to do anything else except play guitar. So if I want to, keep playing guitar and keep doing this, I got to start playing some other people's music. And that was kind of the first thing that came along, was this death metal, deathcore kind of thing. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience playing, it's probably to this day still the most unprofessional band I've ever toured with. But it's good to do stuff like that, it's good to get knocked around a little bit. But it's not a bad thing to go through some tough times in life to make you appreciate the great times now. Now I wake up, I have my own hotel room, I would sleep on a comfortable tour bus when I don't have a hotel room, and I appreciate the time now so much, thinking back to these tours where, I was sharing a room with 3 guys, or sleeping, 3 people to a van bench, or, all this stuff. It makes you appreciate the good times even more.
Well, you paid your dues.
You have to. It's not, YouTube can't teach you everything.
You heard it here first. I got people all the time, I'll ask them, I said, man, how'd you learn how to do that? I got on YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube University.
Yeah, it's
Well,
unbelievable.
it can teach you good stuff, like we got one of those Brita filters, and had to put it on the sink, and Josh learned how to do that from YouTube. but it's not going to teach you how to get
You old handyman, you.
But it's not going to teach you it's not going to, sitting in your bedroom playing guitar, sitting in your bedroom, I imagine it's kind of the same thing, sitting in your bedroom cutting a promo or something, saying, I'm going to be a wrestler, I'm going to stay in my bedroom, I'm going to say, hey, you, I'm coming for you. Then you get into the real situation. It doesn't prepare you for that. It doesn't prepare you for there being people there. In my situation, as a guitar player, you get on stage, your cable's going to break. Your guitar's going to be out of tune. Someone didn't plug something in somewhere. Something's going to happen. And, none of that can prepare you for all that eventuality.
So how was touring with those guys? I mean, let me ask you a money question from back in the day. I won't ask you a money question about now. But paying your dues coming up from your gigs to you got on the national tour. What kind of money were you making?
I'll tell you exactly how much I made on that tour, which is something I don't think I've ever talked about. Those guys said to me, okay, we'll settle up at the end of the tour. And, once we get the money from merch and all this stuff, we'll set up at the end of the tour. Go on my birthday, actually. I go back to pick up my gear.
December
I said,
6th?
so can we, December 7th, yeah.
7th.
I said, so are we good? Can we sell up? They said, oh, we didn't make that much of merch, and we gotta put the rest of the money into the the recording of the next album. So we're just gonna have to do that. I said, well, I'm not really in this band. I just did this tour for you guys. So putting the money in the next album doesn't do anything for me. So nothing. You guys, and the drummer's exact words to me were, "That'll teach you to get a contract next time," and it did. So that was a great lesson. We did 29 shows in 29 days. My first tour in Europe ever. So the total amount of money that I made was my €10 per day per diem. So I came home with $290 for a month.
€10 per day.
€10 per day for
That ain't
29
nothing.
days.
I'd get you a sandwich.
Yeah. Yep. But now I get to, like I said, I sleep on a comfy tour bus. I get treated with respect. I have a solid contract, getting me where I need to go, and.
But also, I mean, when you get burned like that, I mean, now.
It's the best lesson.
Well, it is, because, I mean, it's like putting your hand on a hot burner. I mean, if you're dumb enough to do it again, I mean, you're just going to keep repeating yourself.
Yeah.
You're not getting very far.
Yeah,
You're very far right now. So you're paying your dues and you're learning business.
That experience was really, it sucked at the time, but I'm really, really glad it happened. And I'm glad it happened then and not now.
Yeah, because now wouldn't be good.
Now wouldn't be good. No, now I have more bills.
You're way smarter now. You're educated in what you have to do.
Yeah.
Hey, so tell me about because after that, did you jump in with Jermaine Jackson recruited you?
Yeah.
Some of Michael Jackson's band?
Straight in.
In 2010, you went over to Africa and started playing some gigs, and this was about a year after Michael died?
Yeah. It was just shortly after. It was we did sort of a tribute show, and it was funny because I had stopped playing with As Blood Runs Black. I was going to do another tour with them, and the Jermaine Jackson tour got back like 4 days before their tour was going to leave, and they said, "Oh, it's not enough rehearsal time." So I said, "Oh, it's kind of better anyway."
Yeah.
So I went out there, and that was, out of the frying pan into the fire. You get into this band with these super pros, with a lot of MJ's band, and playing with guys like John Moffitt, who's Michael Jackson and Madonna, some of the best of the best. So that was a totally different experience in and of itself. You get in with these guys, and really that for me was just about putting my head down and learning. The As Blood Runs Black thing was more, learning how to demand respect and take respect. This was about shut up and listen and learn and know what you need to play and when you need to play it. My first couple weeks, I threw out some suggestions. Hey, what if we add this in here? Yeah, good idea. Let's not do that. Okay.
I had another lesson learned.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, all good.
Hey, but what was that feel like? I mean, because, man, when Michael Jackson died, the whole world was shook up.
Yeah.
I remember, I was probably a freshman, sophomore college when Off the Wall came out, and we would ride around in my buddy's Malibu Classic. It was a maroon two-door car. We thought we was badass. And that was just the best album in the world. And so he changed the world musically, or was one of the big factors in changing the world. And so when he left, I had to go out and do the tribute tour. I mean, is it like you're chasing something, or was it cool? What was the vibe? Or was it cathartic for the Jackson family?
Oh, it was.
Was it a celebration?
For me, it was cool. For me, it was amazing. And it didn't feel sad. It felt like a celebration, And for me, it was amazing because, we talked a little bit about female guitar players. And Michael Jackson was really the first person to bring a female guitar player out to the front, the great Jennifer Batten. And Jennifer was the first girl I ever saw play anything cool on a guitar at the Super Bowl. Playing with MJ, and I thought, that is so cool. She had this big blonde hair, and she was so cool, playing so fast, and I thought, that's cool, somebody's doing it, and that was my first introduction to that. So getting to step into her shoes a little bit and play the part of, the girl guitar player on stage and do the Beat It solo and stuff, and it was a really, really cool experience for me. I learned so much from doing it.
So how did you adapt from just playing from As Blood Runs Black to playing the Michael Jackson stuff? Because obviously it's a huge change. I mean, it's rock, or it's badass, but it's a whole different stuff.
Yeah, it's pop. It's pop with some rock sensibility thrown in. And I was lucky that Mike Scott was the other guitar player in the band at the time, and he's played with Prince and Justin Timberlake, all these guys. So he really showed me the ropes as far as when to lay out, when it's better to just be seen and not heard, and kind of not really even seen at that point, and how to complement the song, how to complement a pop song with a rock guitar in a way that doesn't step on the song. It seems like it would be easy. The song is black or white, it's two chords, da-na-na, da-na-na. But it's a lot more. You have to find where the right sound, the right guitar tone, the right way of strumming it so it doesn't step on the vocals and step on the poppiness of the song. So it was really, really a big education.
It's very interesting to listen to you talk about it because, man, I'm a music fan. Here's my story real quick. I've told my story a million times, so I'll give a long story short. My dad played in a country western band. He played lead guitar. I wanted to play guitar like my dad. I started trying to play, didn't practice enough. So you know what's going to happen.
That'll kill you.
You're not going to be good. And I didn't have any music sensibility, so I figured I'd try to play the bass. Two strings less, 4 strings, that'd be easier. Well, it wasn't easier because it didn't practice. Don't have music. And then I couldn't sing. I wanted to be the front man first, but I can't sing.
Right.
So that was out. And then my parents wouldn't buy me a drum kit. So too much noise in the house. So that shattered my dreams of being a rock star. So.
Right, that was it.
But
I went the exact opposite way. I got a drum set first. I was really
What happened?
So bad. Like I wasn't any good at playing the drums.
But you're an athlete.
Yeah, but drums is large motor skills. It's my mom's a teacher, as my mom would say. It's your big motor skills. Drums is it's you're using your whole body. Like guitar, you're using your brain and your fingers. Like that's more what I'm good at. The drums and then I wanted to go play at a friend's house. I had my drums for like a month. And I wanted to go play at a friend's house. I took it apart and set it up one time, and I thought, this is not for me. Anybody out there that plays the drums knows how long it takes. Josh is a drummer, he's nodding. How long it takes to set up a drum set and take that thing apart again. I thought, this is not my thing at all. So then my best friend had a guitar, so I thought I'd play bass. I was bad at that too, because playing one note at a time is not something that ever interested me. So then I picked up the guitar, and that's where I stood.
But can you sing?
No, no. I'd like to. I wish I could. And a lot of people think, I've been throwing around this idea of putting out my own music for a while, and people think, I can't. People say on Facebook and stuff, yeah, you should make your own album where you sing and play guitar. And there's so many people that are so good at that, and I'm just not one of them at all, even a little bit.
Well, so you're doing the Jermaine Jackson thing, and then did Femme Fatale come, or then did Iron Maidens come?
The Iron Maidens were next.
Iron Maidens next?
Yeah, the Iron Maidens were next.
Okay, so at what age are you before or right when you get into Iron Maidens?
See, it was 2011 when I first started playing with the Iron Maidens. So I was born in 86. Is that 25? Yeah, I think that's 25.
Okay,
24
give or
25.
take, we're in a ballpark.
Yeah.
But
I was born in December of 86, and this was March. I remember it was March of 2011. So
okay.
25? 24, 25?
Okay, 25. And then as Blood Runs Black was a few years before that. My question is, along the way, with all you come from an athletic background, now all of a sudden you're into the deathcore scene.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing with some of Michael Jackson's former band members, Jermaine Jackson. You're traveling the world. Okay, so at what point do you get introduced to alcohol and all the other things that come with being in the rock and roll business?
Oh, right away. When I first started playing, I was, playing in bands with a bunch of guys that were older than me. And one of the first things you do as a kid to, hang out with older kids is you start drinking. So I was, going out playing shows, drinking beers, fitting in with everybody, because I was always telling people I was older than I was, because people were going, oh, how old are you? 13? No, I'm 16, and you gotta get there and do whatever it takes to stay on the gig, stay on the tour, stay in the band or whatever it was. So
peer pressure, you got to do what everybody's doing.
Yeah, do what everybody's doing, and so it was really early on that I started, and it didn't even seem like a big deal. Everyone's hanging out after the show drinking a beer. It doesn't seem like a big deal to be doing it at 14, 15. Just sort of like the thing to do.
My thing, in wrestling, I was a big beer drinker, coming out of college, and then got into Wild Turkey 101, and found Crown Royal, and then found vodka, and then more beer and a lot of red wine. Mm-hmm. So, what was your flavor of choice?
Vodka.
Vodka.
Always on the vodka, yeah. Yeah, and I liked beer. It really depends. I don't drink anymore, but it really depends on the time of the year. If it's summertime and you're laying out by the pool and you want a cold beer, or you're watching football and you want a beer, or you're on stage and you want a beer,
right?
Whatever it is that the occasion calls for. But beer and vodka was what I was drinking, and and smoking and getting into other stuff, getting into partying, getting into that whole world. It takes a toll on your body physically. It really does.
I can vouch for it.
Yeah, it's hard to it's funny to think now that I haven't had a drink, and it was actually a year last week that I've been sober. And it's funny now looking at it, like how different I feel. Like I wake up in the morning and I want to go do stuff and like go to the gym and get errands done and stuff. Where I didn't want to get up and do anything.
Right. When you say sober, or when I hear people say sober, like what does that mean? Because I mean, to what excess did you take the vodka? I
mean, I feel really lucky that I didn't have to hit super rock bottom. I didn't the guys in, when I first joined the Alice Cooper band, I would go on stage after, I'd have a couple beers before going on stage, and nothing crazy, I wasn't passing out drunk or doing anything, but they kind of took me aside right off the bat and said, Alice is 30 years sober, and, this is a different kind of situation, and it's not really a good look. So that was, something that was a transition for me to going on stage after having a couple beers is easy, because you feel like you're on top of the world, you're invincible. So having to go on stage and really just be there and focus on the moment and see everything and hear every mistake is a big transition, but a good one. And now, now I just had to transition to living my whole life like that.
So then, what was the turn with the other gals from Iron Maidens? Was that Party Central too?
Oh, totally. That's
Okay.
Party Central. That's but it's a totally different situation. That's like a big beer drinking, wine drinking, vodka drinking, Iron Maiden slumber party with a bunch of fun friends. You go out, you travel the world, headline big shows, and that band will headline festivals in South America. Like we'll play to 30,000, 40,000 people sometimes, or we would. I should say. And you just play Iron Maiden songs. It's kind of the best job ever because you drink for free, you eat for free, you travel for free. You don't make nothing for money, a couple $100 a show maybe, but you get to have fun and travel around with friends and play Iron Maiden songs. Like that's a fun job.
Well, yeah, and Iron Maidens, you were Mega Murray.
Yes, Mega Murray, and they had a guitar player before me that was Mini Murray because I guess she was really short. I'm 5'9", and I play fast, and I play loud, so I got Mega Murray.
And then was Courtney Cockle's Adriana Smith?
Yeah, Adriana Smith. It's cool. They have these play on words, the nicknames of the band. Nikki McBrain instead of Nico McBrain. And then the best, I think, is the singer. Instead of Bruce Dickinson, she's Bruce Chickinson. And we played this show one time. We played this show in, I think it was Guatemala or something. We were playing with the band DRI. And they got on stage. We were direct support for DRI at this festival. And during the last song, they got on stage, and one of the guys wearing this big chicken mask, Harold O. from DRI was wearing this chicken mask, dancing around the stage, pushing us, kind of mosh pit into us. And afterward, I said, what was that? It was the chicken thing. He's like, I'm Bruce Chickinson. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't get that at the time.
Now, as long as you've been around now, and high profile as you are now, you've had to cross paths with all the guys from Maiden.
Yeah.
So
what
do you think that you're in a tribute band and y'all are singing? A bunch of badass chicks, singing their stuff.
The band's good.
I know.
It's funny. Like, you wouldn't think how good that band would be. Like, and I hate to say something like that because it sounds really sexist coming from me. You wouldn't think that this band of hot chicks would play that precisely, but they really do. So it was a cool experience. And the Maiden guys said the same thing. It's like, it's just cool to see it, doing it justice. It's done well. Yeah,
because I didn't want to be the one to say, you wouldn't just think that a bunch of really good-looking women who are really great musicians would play Iron Maiden songs.
You think they'd be doing other stuff, but it's fun. That's the thing. It's hard to step away from the allure of it's such an easy, fun, cool thing to do. And I had dinner at Dave Murray's Rock and Roll Rid place. He's got a place in Florida, great, really good restaurant, really, really good. I'm sorry, not Dave Murray, Nico McBrain's restaurant, the drummer of Iron Maiden. And he said the same thing. He's like, man, it's just cool to see it, you guys out there doing it. He always says, give my best to the girls. And, it's great to, they're really, really supportive of the band, which is cool.
What was, God dang, the original lead singer before Bruce Dickinson came along?
Blaze Bayley? No, not Blaze Bayley. Paul Di'Anno.
Okay, so Paul Di'Anno with Iron Maiden wasn't around for as long as Bruce Dickinson has been, obviously. Right. So I really became an Iron Maiden fan when Bruce Dickinson took, the lead vocal spot.
Right.
And with no disrespect to Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah. When they became the Iron Maiden that we all know.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, what about the twin guitars, the dual guitars they got?
It's it's like nothing else. And I have 3 guitar players in the band I play in now, and I love that too because I'm a guitar player's guitar player. I like having, but at least having, and Maiden actually now has 3 as well. But having those dual leads, the way that Maiden and Judas Priest and everybody did at that time, it's a sound like nothing else. The 2 guitar players harmonizing with each other. It's cool, and it gives it, and I feel like Courtney and I really had that, we had that camaraderie of the twin guitar attack down.
Yeah, because you guys would be in Femme Fatale as well, so you guys are no strangers. It's kind of just...
Yeah, I would just drag each other from band to band. Like, hey, we're going to do this now. We're going to do that. I grab the same keyboard player for every band, too. Kat, I can take her with me everywhere. It's when you find good musicians, you just drag them around with you from project to project.
What did you think of me being a huge Molly Hatchet fan and Skynyrd fan? I thought their guitars were so underrated. I just like what they played. They weren't shredders.
Yeah.
But, man, the stuff that they played played, just their tone, the way they played. I don't
fits
speak
the
music.
song.
Yeah.
It fits the song. Stuff like that.
But does stuff like that resonate with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good musicianship. Whether you're talking about Skinner, or the Eagles, or Molly Hatchet, or Steve Vai, or any of these crazy new shred guys. Good music is good music, and good tone is good tone. I think good tone comes from your fingers more than your guitar or your amp. You don't have to have an expensive guitar or an expensive amp. I shouldn't say that because my amp's endorsements, but really, you don't have to have expensive equipment to play well, to play with feeling.
And and saying that, there's
helps.
always a guy that wants to go be the pool shark at the local pool hall, and he'll go buy the fancy stick for $500 or $1,000.
Yeah.
The old hustler over there has got the stick on the wall. It's got a curve in it, and he's beating the hell out of everybody.
Yep.
So it ain't always what you play; it's what you're playing with or how you play it.
Yeah. Well, one of my first shows ever. My dad had this Parker guitar, this really expensive fiberglass guitar. He said, "You want to play it?" I said, "No, I don't want anybody to look at me and think I'll play my beat up Squire Strat." I played that thing for a long time because I didn't want anybody to look at me and think, "Oh, she's got a $5,000 guitar. She's got to be really good." I'd rather have that surprise factor.
And speaking about playing styles, before we go to your Alice Cooper stuff right now, here's the thing I got off Wikipedia and reading about Jason Becker. It says Becker's compositions often include high-speed scalar and arpeggio passages, trademarks of his shred style of guitar playing, often incorporating advanced techniques such as sweep picking, alternate picking, artificial harmonic accenting, and tapping. He was among the leaders of the field during the technical shred guitar and neoclassical metal trend of the mid to late 80s and is still respected and honored by his musician peers today. Question, after reading that from Wikipedia about Jason Becker, what is scalar and arpeggio passages?
So scalar and arpeggio, it's an arpeggio. Basically, it's just the order the notes are in. So a scale will be like da 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 da. So it'll just be the notes. An arpeggio is different types of arpeggios, sweep picking and alternate picking. But a sweep arpeggio is basically, see how I can explain it to where it makes sense without a guitar in my hands. A sweep arpeggio is when you play the notes, one note on each string, and you sort of let your hand fall down the strings all in the same direction. So it's not up, down, up, down, up, down. You're just kind of letting your hand fall down, 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 and then back up, 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 up.
What's our artificial harmonic accenting?
Artificial harmonics is like when you think about Zakk Wylde and you think about the Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears, all like woo woo.
Yeah, that's what that is. I love that.
That is an artificial harmonic or pinch harmonic.
Okay, and tapping, that's David Lee Roth kind of stuff. Or is that hammer-ons?
No, tapping is when you use your right hand.
Okay.
And you're doing it perfectly in your air guitar right now.
I'm air guitar right here. Stone Cold Steve
really
Austin's air guitar for Nita Strauss and
I'm
Josh.
telling you, perfect technique. It's when you use the fingers of your right hand to tap the note on the fretboard.
Yeah, I need an air guitar sponsor. All right.
I think you have one.
Yeah.
They're free.
Hey, man, just in talking about these things, now it just brought up to mind another great guitarist, Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler for Dire Straits and his chicken picking on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, man, that guy's insane. He doesn't use a pick.
Can I tell you something about chicken picking? Do you know how hard it is to do?
I want you to tell as many stories as you can. I don't need to ask questions if you can tell me stories.
I don't have any stories about that except how impossible it is to do, because I think it's so cool. You know who's really a master of it, which you wouldn't think, is John Five. John Five plays with Rob Zombie now and play with Manson. He's most known for being the guy, with these metal guys. That guy's one of the craziest country guitar players in the world right now. I'll put him up against anybody. I truly would. And, you see him do his guitar solo in the Rob Zombie set. The guy's playing stuff that I have never even attempted, like even close. I was just, we played with them at Carolina Rebellion, and I had just gotten off stage. We did our set, we headlined one of the stages, walked over to watch Rob Zombie headline that stage, and I had just finished my big guitar solo. I was kind of like floating on cloud nine, and I start watching John. I go, this guy.
Hey, thanks, dude. You just blew my water.
Thanks a lot. I hope everybody that's over here at this stage was over here the whole time. Wasn't watching us. I need to practice, but that chicken picking and stuff, I can't believe how hard it is to do. it's really like, it's, you know, and you kind of have this impression like, yeah, country music is it's not really about the technique and stuff. That's hard. That's hard to do. So I have so much respect for those guys like, you know, Dire Straits and all that can really just, you know, pull out that kind of technique, because it's not easy.
Hey, let's go to the here and now. Let's talk about playing with Alice Cooper, because you weren't in such a good place, and now you're having a couple of beers before you go on stage with Alice Cooper. And man, I was born in '64. I'm 51, and I remember when I'm 18 came out, and that was 71-ish, whatever it was. So I was a big Alice Cooper fan way back in the day and followed him for a long time. And then all of a sudden Kane Roberts comes in, and I'm still following him, and then I kind of go off in a different direction. But Alice got sober, like you said, 30 years ago, and he's helped a lot of fellow musicians kind of have that come to Jesus, not forcing it on them. He won the Stevie Ray Vaughan Award in 2008.
Did he?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So was he influential to you at all in cleaning up your act? Because now you're the picture of health. You work out. I mean, bodybuilding.com did a great article, photo spread on you. So tell me about your transition out of the hole and back to, you know, the person I'm seeing right now.
It was time. You know, like you go through, you know, you might think that, you know, I got sober when I was 28, I guess. You know, might think like, oh, that's young, you know, but when you start touring young, you start partying young, you start going through everything, you have a little bit of a different life experience. It's not like somebody that starts drinking in college at 21 and drinks for 7 years and then goes through it, you know. So this is like 15 years, you know, 14, 15 years. I was already kind of taking this toll on my body. And anybody that drinks all the time, parties all the time, that lives their life like that, it's just not possible to be happy. You can't maintain that. You know, you can't maintain any level of happiness. Your body chemicals are all over the place, and, you know, it just takes too much of a toll on you physically. It takes too much of a toll emotionally. You know, you're tired and starting stupid fights over stuff when you're drunk. It's a waste of time. It's not good to live like that. So, you know, last September, I finally made the decision to just do a complete 180, and it was actually Alice and also Nikki from Motley Crue. We were on tour with Motley Crue at the time, and Nikki Sixx gave me some great advice, and actually we played some shows with 6 a.m. and he took me aside and put a hand on each of my shoulders, said, "How are you doing? Are you still sober? You know, how's everything going?" And, you know, again, gave me some great advice, books to read and stuff like that. I feel really lucky that, you know, I didn't go through the 12-step program. I didn't have a sponsor. I didn't have all the stuff. I just had good influences around me. You know, I have a great relationship. I have a great, you know, have Coop around and have, you know, cool people in my band. I was able to really do it in a smooth way.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. I was living in San Antonio one time, and I woke up and went to the bathroom and just looked myself in the mirror, and I said, man, this is not a good way to go here.
Yeah.
This is not going to lead to what you're doing right now is not conducive to a long life.
Exactly.
That's when I just started tapering off everything. I said, hey, dude, you got to slow this stuff down. I was kind of coming to rather than waking up.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things.
Yeah,
I didn't go to no rehab. I just said, hey, man, you
just
started this,
cool
you stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to cool out and think about what's important.
Okay, let's talk about Coop.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper.
Coop.
How cool? so is that how it goes? Like you just roll up and say, hey, Coop?
Yeah, Coop.
That's
you know,
awesome.
it's funny, like, you know, we joke about this all the time, Josh and I. People come up and they say, so, you know, tell Vince I said hi, you know, because Vincent was, you know, his birth name. No one calls him that. Like, he changed his name to Alice Cooper, I think 40 years ago, you know, 30 or 40 years ago. No one calls him that ever, except people that don't know him.
Right.
So, you know, people try to be in the know and, you know, say, hey, tell Vinny, you know, Big V. And, you know, we just, you know, Alice or Coop.
So you've told this story before, but you got to tell me the story about how you got the gig.
Yeah.
It's just a cool story.
Yeah. I was playing in a band called Femme Fatale, which, I mean, I love. And just to touch quickly on Femme, Lorraine is one of my favorite front people I've ever played with, Lorraine Lewis, because she was one of the original, like, babes of heavy metal that was in the band. You know, like, you know, you didn't girls like that you would see were models or video vixens, and she was one of the only ones to be in the band, the hot chick that was in the band. Yeah. You know, so it was cool for me to get to play with her, and she's still exactly like that. She's still like slamming voice, amazing, you know, amazing energy, amazing to work with. So I was playing a show. I was playing on the Monsters of Rock cruise with her and Femme Fatale, and Kip Winger was in the crowd watching the show. And we were talking after the show, and he said, so what are you doing? You do anything else besides this? And I said, man, I'm just looking for a gig, just trying to eat, keep my head above water. So if you hear of anything, please keep me in mind. And then a couple weeks later, I got a call saying, are you available, for some dates this summer? Would you be available for this summer? And I said, well, I've got some stuff, I've got some dates booked. Well, what is it? At the time I was playing guitar for the LA Kiss arena football team, doing the national anthem for them and stuff. So I had sort of my summer all planned out, what I was going to do this once a week, do some stuff here and there. He said, well, it's Alice Cooper on the Motley Crue tour. And I said, yep, I'm all clear, 100% available. I have nothing on my schedule. So I got a call from Bob Ezrin, who, has produced, not just the great Alice Cooper albums, but, Kiss, Destroyer, some of the best albums out there.
I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Yeah. And Destroyer is, that was my Kiss album of all albums. Yeah. That was the one. So Ezrin calls me and he goes, these are the songs we want you to audition to. And they sent me over a couple tracks, and I just thought I had it in the bag. Man, like I did every trick that I could think of. I sent them these videos, I put a black sheet up in my house, and I got the camera out, and I did 20 takes of each song, probably more, to be honest with you, and just did every over the top crazy, spinning the guitar, playing with one hand, everything I could think of. And so it was 2 songs. Each song was about 5 minutes long, so it would have taken him at least 10 minutes to watch my whole audition. I think Ezrin called me within 2 minutes of me pressing send. He said, this is not what we want at all. This is not what we want. I think, if I remember correctly, and I like this part of the story, his exact words were, can you do anything else? And I was like, what do you mean? Do you know who Alice Cooper? This is what I do. And it's funny because now, 3 years later, that's all I do, and it fits in so well. But at the time, they didn't know how that was going to gel with the band. They said, this is not what we want. Can you listen to Alice Cooper and then do this again, in our style? I said, oh, no, of course. Now that I know what you want, I got it, So I went back and, and I thought I simplified it, and they said it still wasn't simplified enough. But, they saw enough to give me the shot. And I don't know if they just didn't have anybody else or what it was, but they gave me the shot, and I went out on the Motley Crue
But
tour.
it's oh, no, this young lady has the
something,
goods.
Yeah.
But we can...
They can
continue
put it
to
in the direction.
Yeah, coach her up.
Yeah,
in our style.
Exactly.
You're a badass player, but you got to learn their playbook.
Exactly. That's basically what it boiled down to. Is a perfect way of saying it.
How often are you on the road with Alice?
So with Coop, we do.
Coop.
Yeah, with Coop.
So Alice Cooper, the legendary rock and roll star.
Alice Cooper was
part of WrestleMania.
That was what I was going to say. WrestleMania 3 with Jake the Snake, and that was one of the first things. I just started watching wrestling not that long ago, and that was one of the first things that Josh showed me. Was he said, "Look, here's Alice looking all young and skinny and doing his thing." And we do still have a snake out on tour with us. Actually, we have our snake. Our home snake is Julius Squeezer. Julius Squeezer. He's super friendly, really cool. He comes out. He comes out with us anytime we're in the States. We have Julius Squeezer, and then overseas we have overseas loner snakes, and some of them are mean. Yeah. It's funny because Squeezer's really nice. He doesn't kind of look at us weird or anything. He just kind of smells around and does his own thing on stage. But sometimes we go overseas and we get these loner snakes, and they're looking at us all like they want something.
Well,
it's
that was
weird.
a big thing. I heard so many horror stories because a lot of times, Jake would be over, and this is, Jake's in a real good place right now. But back in the day, he was just going to wrestle. So let's leave it like that. Mm-hmm. He was about to wrestle. He was over smoking a cigarette or getting ready, doing whatever. So the snake's in the bag, the one he used to throw on his shoulder and walk to the ring. Well, a lot of guys in the wrestling business, I don't know about in the rock and roll business, probably a lot the same because there's so many commonalities. They pull ribs on each other. So a lot of guys go over here and poke the bag, make the snake mad. So then by the time, Jake let the snake out on someone, the snake would either bite them or piss on them. I mean, they would just let their bowels loose on the person who was getting the snake dumped on them. And a lot of the guys were halfway wigged out because they didn't want a big snake on them to begin with.
That's probably the worst smell I've ever smelled, by the way, because Julius Squeezer in my bathroom, mine, I have my own room. I have my own dressing room, because I'm cool now.
Yeah.
I have because I have to get changed, and I don't want to, be in the guy's way, and they have to get changed. And so, I have my own room, and all I know is I had a shower in there, and I walked in, and Kyler, Alice's, the patience of a saint, this guy, is in there washing the snake in my shower. I'm like, what is this unholy smell? Like, she shit everywhere. It's like white and disgusting smelling.
It doesn't look like you would think a snake it would look like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think it would look like, but not that.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
A long rope. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a family-friendly show, but obviously we can talk about snake shit just a little bit. I mean, if you can't talk about this kind of stuff, I mean, we're
We're on the right podcast for it.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're golly, what was that one? It was The World Needs Guts.
World Needs Guts.
Was that song written by Kane Roberts?
That's a Kane Roberts song.
Yeah, so Kane Roberts wrote that song. Let's give him props. My buddy Rick Grayson interviewed him a while back over there in the Valley. So, The World Needs Guts. And I was watching this song, and I think y'all performed this in Austin, 2016. Y'all were just
we just added into the set last month.
Okay, my point is, and that's what Josh sent me. I mean, Alice still looks like a madman on stage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know he loves his golf. I know he's straight. I know he's one of the nicest guys walking planet Earth. But, man, on stage, tell me about the transformation, because that guy at 68 is still high energy, and you can just hear and see the passion and love of what he does just come out of him.
Absolutely. And it's really amazing for a young guitar player like myself to get to be in the presence of somebody that's a pro like that, that's been around, that's been doing it for so long. Alice has been a superstar 20 years longer than I've been alive, or 10 years longer than before I was born. Poison was one of his biggest singles. That came out the year I was born. And it's crazy to think about that now. It's and I look at him on stage, and he's still, like you say, he's grabbing girls' hair in the front row and, prancing around, and, he's got this kind of, swagger in his walk, and he owns it. He owns that stage. At 68 years old, he's a better frontman than any young kid that I see out there now. He just commands the stage.
But when he dials it back, just cool as a cat.
Then we get on the bus, and he's got his readers on, always reading classic car magazines, showing us all cars. Look at Nita, you want a Corvette? You want to look? They have one here. You live in LA, right? There's a '68 Corvette. You should check this. Always reading about the cars.
Coop is a car guy. You just made my day.
He's a car guy for days. I just got a Challenger because he had a Challenger because he always has a car out on the road with us to drive to golf and stuff in the mornings. And when I first joined the band, we were on a Dodge sponsored tour, so we had a Challenger. And now I have the exact same Challenger. And he goes, "Oh man, you got to get these wheels. You got to get this. You got to put this engine block." And I don't know much about cars, but he's such a car guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about your setup, your rig, your guitar, and how you've set it up. It's built for speed.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me why you picked what you picked and how you built what you built.
Well, I've been an Ibanez guitar fan basically since I started playing it, because I got into Vi and Paul Gilbert and Satriani. All my heroes are Ibanez players for the most part, or have been Ibanez players. And the first time I picked up and played an Ibanez guitar, it was kind of that same thing as when I heard Megadeth the first time. I thought, why didn't anybody tell me that this was here the whole time? I'm here playing these Gibsons, which are great guitars.
Yeah.
But I'm here playing, I had a Gibson SG and a Flying V and a Washburn and all these other guitars. And then I got my first Ibanez. I said, why didn't anybody tell me about this? This is here. This has been here the whole time.
I love the way you do that.
It's cool, And so my guitar, Ibanez built me my own guitar now. And it's the guitar I've always dreamed of. It's got a beautiful quilted maple top, 5-piece neck with Bubinga, maple neck with Bubinga inlays. And the coolest thing, one of my favorite features about the guitar is it's a cosmetic feature, but the inlay on it is a heartbeat. It's an EKG heartbeat. And the cool thing is, as if you look at a guitar, as you look at the guitar neck, the frets get smaller the higher up the neck you go, and you really only play the fast stuff at the high part, so it looks like the heartbeat gets faster the higher up you go. So it's kind of a cool little touch that they did on it for me. And there's some guitar nerd, specifications that I did on it as well, but that's the coolest part, I think.
What about effects or strings or amps or whatever?
Well, the amps, it's an exciting chapter that we're moving forward. Moving forward, I'm actually playing for the first time, actually really the first time ever. I'm switched over to Marshall amps, switched over to Marshall amplifiers, which I guess you heard it here first, because we haven't really discussed it a whole lot. But Marshall's, when I first joined the Alice Cooper band, they asked me, well, what are you playing through? And I had a Bogner, this German-engineered shred amp. I had a Bogner Uberschall. And they said, what's wrong with the Marshall? So now, 3 years later, here I have, I have a couple beautiful Marshalls in my setup. The new JVM series just screams. So that just packs a punch like no other amp I've ever played through. And effects are really simple, just all rack mounted. A lot of guitar players swear by having each pedal to do each thing. I like to keep it simple. I have one pedal that does everything, and it's in the back. I don't even touch it. I have just, control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. So 1 is mute, 2 is clean, 3 is rhythm, distortion. 4 has a little more gain to it, and then 5 is my solo channel, and that's it. Easy.
Will you have a couple of spares or backups? You got a guitar tech and everything? With Alice, with Coop? So one time I was watching, it was Stevie Ray Vaughan. I watch him on YouTube all the time. He's right in the middle of something.
I know exactly the story you're going to tell. When he changes the string.
It's pride and joy. It's pride and joy.
I was going to ask about that when we were talking about Stevie Ray earlier, because that is my favorite. I didn't want to seem like the kid. Have you seen that YouTube video?
It's awesome, because he doesn't miss a lick. And all of a sudden, there's Chris Shannon and Tommy Layton. Tommy, the bass player, looks over at him because he can see something doesn't sound right, and he's just playing a string up or whatever you do. You would know better than I. But he just modifies because the string is gone, but he never misses a lick. And here comes his guitar guy, do the old switcheroo, plugs him back in, and he just keeps going. It's the coolest damn thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. It is the coolest thing I have ever seen. This video of, he doesn't miss a single. If you have your eyes closed, you wouldn't know that anything was going on. And I didn't, someone said to me, I remember it was going around on Facebook or something, and I hadn't seen it before, and said, look how amazing this is. And I wasn't really paying attention, like I was doing something else, and I had it on in the background. I thought, that's not that cool. And then I looked and saw what was happening. I was like, oh, they're
Major
changing a string while he's playing the song. Like, he's playing the song, he breaks a string, his tech sees the loose string hanging there, runs out. Stevie's got his hand on a different part of the neck, just keeps his hands out of the tech's way. His tech just loops that string right in, cuts the old one off, and he's back on his way.
Oh, you saw a different one than I did. The one I saw, he just brought him a whole new guitar.
Oh, no. I saw one where he actually changed the string.
You got to send me that one.
Oh, yeah.
Josh,
I'll find it.
I'll find it. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. No, I hope I'm remembering it right, but I remember that happening.
So question, do you got a couple of backup guitars, or do you have something that's tuned different?
Yeah.
What's the story on that?
Yeah, I've got a couple guitars out with me. I've got a couple Ibanez S series out with me. My tech, Brian Satia, is a wizard. Brian, it's great to have a tech that knows what you need before you need it. So, if I hear something a little weird, I'll start to walk off to the side of the stage. Brian's already got my other guitar out for me. And, we've got a really good, it's myself and Tommy Henriksen on stage left. And I've been playing stage left, by the way. It's a funny thing. I don't know if there's anything like it outside of music.
What do you mean stage left? Just
stage left is,
position-wise?
on the left side, the left side of the stage looking out at the audience. That's where I've always been my whole life. I'm a stage left for life guy, forever. And when I play in the Iron Maiden, Dave Murray plays on the right. And they're so authentic. They're like, no, you have to put on the right. And it was such a huge jarring transition, these weird little things you get used to. I guess I'm a creature of habit. But now I'm back over on stage left with Tommy. And we have to change guitars. Take Feed My Frankenstein. The song is in drop D. Yes. So we have to switch guitars for that one. And Brian just does both our guitar changes at the same time. One hand on one hand on the other. We hand it right off. And it's really seamless. We just have such a tightly, well-run shit going. It's awesome. And Brian is just great tech.
Hey,
Nobody steal him.
Nobody steal him. Hey, what about working out on the road?
It's actually been great. It's been a transition. It's been a tough transition, but I have a great coach named Ashley Horner who really keeps me in check. She stays on me every week. She changes my workout every week so I don't get bored. And your body will adjust to your workout. So I don't,
Absolutely.
And that was my biggest thing when I first started working out, a couple years ago when I started trying to make the transition and turning things around. I just kind of did the same. I said, okay, here's my leg day, here's my upper body day, here's my back day, and I did the same one for 2 years. I didn't know. And now I'm working with Ashley. She's just like completely whipped me into shape. Like she changes my workout every single week. I send her progress pictures. You know, she adjusts my workout based on where I am and, you know, limited hotel gym functions. And then a huge part of it, too, was eating right on the road.
It's hard for me to believe. I mean, now looking at you, the statuesque, in shape, focused, articulate, everything. You lost 50 pounds.
That's right.
Most of the rock and roll catering, or nowadays, I mean, WWE, the catering's pretty clean because Vince is a health fanatic. Mm-hmm. But I don't think in the rock and roll world.
It's, you know, there's some healthy options. There definitely is.
There's also a changing of the guard because you're around with the party's been going forever.
Right.
It still goes on. But more and more people like Nikki from Motley Crue have made the switch and said, "Hey, man, this is not going to lead me to a good place." And
exactly.
Well, you know, in his book, I mean, like when he OD'd like once or twice, he OD'd and then he went and shot up again.
Yeah.
But so he's clean. So there's more and more musicians out there that are running clean systems.
It's true. It's funny, like, you know, you go hang out on friends' tour buses, you know, or hang out with, you know, some guys in other bands, and, you know, you think, oh, you're hanging out on the tour bus talking about chicks and drinking and all that stuff. It's like, no, you're talking about, man, you know, we just got this juicer. My wife makes kale, you know, like kale, cucumber. Oh, no, you know, you got to put apple in your juice. Oh, ginger is better with kale. It takes away the bitter taste. Oh, I've never tried ginger in my kale juice.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Know? Hey, write that down.
It's funny. You know, it is a total, Nikki called it the highway to health.
That's good.
You know, because we had this drink. The other guitar player in my band, Tommy, gets this drink called Rockin' Wellness. It tastes terrible. Like, it's, you know, this green drink, this green powder. Nikki would come sniffing in our dressing room all the time on the Motley Crue tour. Hey, got any of that Rockin' Wellness stuff? And we'd sit in there, we'd drink these green drinks and eat our bananas and, you know, talk about who had what weights out here on the road. And, you know, it's fun.
But, you know, like you said in some of your earlier interviews, like performing, maintaining energy, having focus, being present or in the moment, just the way you feel. Hey, man, when I was bogged down doing all the stuff I was doing, my life was pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
Living at a frantic pace, doing the things that I was doing from a performance standpoint and doing the stuff on the party standpoint. This wasn't a great mix. I found that I did a lot better when I wasn't doing the other stuff.
You don't think about it at the time. You think you're handling everything fine. And then you look back, you know, you look at how you handle things now and you go, well, it's a lot more smooth now. There's not really as many problems. You get every place you need to go on time. You know, it's kind of easier.
Hey, is there anything you want to talk about or anything else that we need to cover?
Well, I'm really excited. There's actually my first instrumental song is coming out, which I've been talking about doing forever. I've been talking about releasing an instrumental solo album, releasing some instrumental music of my own, like similar to the heroes that I've always had. And the more I wrote, the more I talked about it, you know, the more I sort of took steps toward it, the more I realized I'm a band person. I'm a band, like I've always had a band. I've always wanted a band. I've never wanted to be the Nita show. So there is a band. That's the news. There is a band. I can't talk about it too much yet, but the band is in rehearsals. The band is formed and is in rehearsals. The music's written, and so that's going to be my next focus. We're going to get back from this Alice Cooper run, and the band is going to be the primary focus.
Well, that's awesome. So when you do something like that, and you've been with Coop for a couple of years, what do you say? I mean, do you just say, hey, Coop, I was thinking about doing this. Is this cool? Or, I mean, you got to get his blessing? I mean...
Oh, not even. It's so, our camp is so casual and so chill. You know, it's really, you know, the other guys in the band all have their own projects. You know, Tommy's got an album out. Ryan's got his band, Roxy 77. Chuck's got Bisto Blanco. Glenn Sobel, our drummer's just always doing, you know, different stuff, different sessions and stuff. So everybody's very creative.
I didn't know what the protocol was on that, though.
Oh, yeah. No. It's no, it's whenever Coop needs us, we're there. Whenever he doesn't need us, we're on our own. So we're doing that, and so that's, you know, it's been so exciting to get back to creating and doing, making my own music, which is just like that's why you start it. That's why we all do it, just to tell your story. And
sometimes you got to play everybody else's music so you get a chance to play your own.
Exactly. And then, but I still had to scratch that instrumental itch. So I had a really cool opportunity come up to contribute a song to a really cool compilation called She Rocks. it's myself, Jennifer Batten, who played with MJ, and Orianthi and Lita Ford, and Neely Brosh, a lot of sort of up and coming young female guitar heroes. And it's going to be on Steve Vai's label, Favored Nations. It's coming out January 20th. And actually, I have a little sample for you guys for us to play on here for the very first instrumental song I'm putting out. So
that would be outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, Nita Strauss. Josh. Hey, Josh, let me give a shout out real quick. Got those cool-ass Beverly Hills shirts on, man. Did you bring me a shirt?
Brought you 3.
God dang. Hey, check out the website, beverlykills.com. Got some badass shirts on there. It's like a, explain it, Josh. I mean, because the logo is like that traditional Beverly Hills logo.
Yep.
And he painted the red K over the H. And tell me about Beverly Kills.
Beverly Kills is basically how people get into an industry or move to a city, or they get stuck in this, I want to be famous, I want to do anything to get, step on somebody's head to get 1 inch forward, when people don't realize, like, don't lose your integrity, keep your morals, stay humble. All that stuff is possible. Just keep cool, But a lot of people, when they get very excited and they just want to be famous, and a lot of people move to L.A. and the Hollywood area, and they just have that mentality of, I just want to be famous, and it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? I don't know, but I just want to be famous. So that's Beverly Kills is pretty much calls out all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Nita's shirt right now. I love this shirt. Stay humble or be humbled. Didn't you say Nikki Sixx like that shirt? Or who was it?
Actually, a lot of people, what's been cool is it's been getting around. I launched it 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten out really quick, just through a lot of friends I have in different industries. But Johnny Depp wore it.
That's it.
And he saw it. Nikki Sixx saw that stuff, and he liked it too. We got to actually get him some stuff. But Johnny Depp saw it, and that was pretty cool because we went to just the Hollywood Vampires were playing. I brought some shirts for him, and I didn't have that one. And she was wearing the shirt, and he saw it, and he was like,
I'm always wearing the shirt.
Yeah, she is. And, she was wearing it before I even launched it, and she loved, besides, that we're dating, she loved the concept of it. She's like, this is what I'm all about, because she, Nita has a lot of integrity, too. She could have easily, sold out and been very shitty, back in the day, but she kept her integrity, kept herself together to earn that respect,
Yeah.
and kind of had to, push forward to earn her respect, because it's hard, being a girl in a male-dominated industry and busting ass.
Yeah.
So she related really good to it. And a lot of people that are hard-working people that keep somebody like you, that's why when you saw it, you're like, you get it, because you're a person that's always been humble and had your integrity and busted ass, So somebody like Johnny Depp saw it, and she walked by, and he's like, hold on a second, let me see that. He grabbed the shirt, he's like, stay humble, be humble. He's like, that's awesome. And then we're like, hey, man, I brought you some shirts in the dressing room. He was like, cool. I was like, damn, I wish I would have had that shirt. And my buddy, I had one printed out for him. He actually fights for UFC, Alan Juban. And I was like, wait. She's like, wait a second. We have one in the car.
In the car.
Yeah. And it's like, that's right. I was like, it's a large, right? She's like, yeah. I was like, it's Alan's shirt. I was like, oh, sorry, Alan. I was like, I went over, gave it to him, and she's like, here you go. He's like, oh, thank you so much. And I've been giving it to some of my friends. I never ask anybody to wear it,
Yeah.
But he went on stage. I was like, oh, maybe he's wearing it. Oh, he didn't wear it. Oh, whatever. Oh, enjoying the show. Encore comes on. Boom, there he is. I'm like, holy shit! Like, he's wearing the shirt, And it's been happening like that a couple times. A couple buddies of mine, just went on stage wearing it. My friend from Disturbed, Dave Draymond, he went on stage wearing it. Ivan Moody from Five Finger Death Punch. I'm just watching the show. I'm like, whoa, there it is. It's cool because it's cool when people see something that you worked on and they relate you as that kind of person too. Because I pride myself in being like a very humble, straightforward. Always keep your integrity. One thing I learned a long time ago was your last name is the only thing you have. Don't ever ruin it. And I've always stuck to it. My mom told me that. And it's always stuck true to me.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Dave Draymond from Disturbed, they redid my theme song way back in the day. Are those guys still out there?
Hell, they're like the biggest they've ever been right now.
We just watched
God
that
dang.
last night. We just saw that song last night.
Yeah, the remake of it was funny because I knew those guys since '99.
Yeah.
And their first tour, and they blew up immediately.
Yeah.
And those guys. The one thing I love about those guys, man, they are some of the most humble guys I've ever known. All the fame, everything, they've never changed. They've been the same dude since the beginning. And I remember when they did your theme, and I was like, that's crazy. They did like I think at Times Square in the WWE Cafe or something. like back in the day.
Well, I just remember hanging out with them. We were together for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Just good dudes. I mean, one guy was pretty jacked. I mean,
he's gone.
Is he gone?
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm just time goes by.
But Kane Roberts jacked.
What's that?
But not Kane Roberts.
Yeah, not that.
Kane, that was a great deal.
But they're on top of the world. They did the remake. You probably heard it. Didn't know it was them. The Sound of Silence.
Yeah.
It's like blown up like crazy, and they're killing it, man. They're really killing it.
That's good to know. Well, check out BeverlyKills.com, and this is good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm talking to Josh, and I was talking to Nita Strauss, the lead guitarist for Alice Cooper, and it's been a damn blast. Nita, when you're ready to come back and do it again, let's do it again.
Thank you very much. I will.
Ivan has rules. So does Marshall. Anything else?
That's right. That does it.
All right, everybody, give me the go home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off into the sunset. For me, that means heading out to Agua Dulce to finish up filming the Broken Skull Challenge. I want to thank Nita Strauss from Alice Cooper's band for coming over here and shooting the breeze with me. Her boyfriend Josh for coming over here and shooting the breeze with me. And I'm going to give you something to watch now. And this was a concert done on 8/21/16 live in Austin, Texas. And if you go on YouTube, just type in Alice Cooper, I'm 18, 8/21/16 live in Austin, second row video. Someone in the audience filmed this video, and sometimes the audience gets some great footage, and this person did on this endeavor. So it's Alice Cooper and the gang singing I'm 18, one of his most famous songs of all time. And there at about, the 2:20 mark, Nita busts in with the badass solo, and she's wearing a Beverly Kills t-shirt that Josh designed. So anyway, you get to see Nita in action, laying down a badass solo, wearing some Beverly Kills swag. So that is my video of you guys, something to watch. And anything Nita Strauss, you can type her name in on YouTube and find out all kinds of stuff, whether it was with Femme Fatale, Iron Maiden, Alice Cooper, all of her doing instructional stuff. There's all kinds of stuff on there. So if you want to check her out more, she's an awesome guitarist and a class act. Hey, folks, a couple of quick reminders here. ProWrestlingTees.com is going to have all the new shirts that I'm wearing for this new season of Broken Skull Challenge. We've got some cool new designs, and they're coming soon. You can get those same designs at BrokenSkullRanch.com. If you're looking for the best damn IPA in the United States of America, get the Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. Stop in if you're in L.A., 140 Main Street there in L.A. Just hang a left at the airport, and you will be there. You can pick it up at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California, or you can order it from BrokenSkullRanch.com, and if you live in a state that they ship to, InsideTheCellar.com, they will ship it to you. And don't forget about this. Everybody needs a pocket knife. Bottom line, and you can find the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife at BrokenSkullRanch.com. You can also buy that thing on Amazon for about $75. What a bargain that is for a knife that gets all the badass reviews that this thing does. Every single part of that blade, every single part of that knife is from the United States of America. It's assembled in Taiwan, but all the parts are USA. Hey, folks, I appreciate all the word-of-mouth advertising y'all are doing on behalf of this podcast. I do not have an advertising budget. I appreciate you guys supporting the sponsor of the Steve Austin Podcast because they're the ones that let me do this for you free twice a week. So big thanks to ddpyoga.com/Austin. Get 20% off the DDP Yoga DVDs and 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app for a limited time. Big thanks to DraftKings. Use my promo code Steve to play for free this weekend. And, of course, a big thank you to Amazon, who have been supporting this podcast since day one. Just use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, and Amazon will kick back a couple of bucks to the podcast. Doesn't cost you anything extra. There's no hidden fees or charges. You can buy whatever you was planning on buying and help out the podcast in the process. You can find my Amazon links by going to PodcastOne.com, clicking on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page, and then hitting the Steve Austin Show button. I got Amazon links for USA, UK, and Canada. So once again, just go to PodcastOne.com, click the Killer Deals button in the top right corner, and then click on the Steve Austin Show. All of my great sponsors are there. All of my Amazon links are there too, and Amazon will kick back a couple of bucks to the show every time you use one of those links. You don't have to buy anything special, no extra charges or hidden fees. Buy whatever you plan on buying, and Amazon will kick back a small percentage to help the show cover production cost. Bookmark it so you can find it easier. Hey, the 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, My name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.